Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I thought I would take a few minutes and show you, this is a celebration item and it's called the Precious Parcel Card Kit. And it comes, I ordered one right when they very first came out, and I was so blown away with how beautiful it was that I decided I wanted to stretch it so that you could make more cards with this than they suggest. And so the kit comes so that you can make 8 cards, and here are the card fronts. This pretty green, pale green card front, and then a darker green card front. And the way the kits are made, there is the card front here, and then there is the piece that fits inside. Grab one of those, which is this, that fits inside this little piece here and nestles down in to make a card that has a message. And then it actually then opens up and you have another place to write a message. Well, you know me, I can't not mess with something. And it comes with card fronts that are like this, and then the other piece of card that comes with the kit that goes with this one is this one, and it's got this cute little postcard thing on it, and there's some of the embellishments that come, and you would slide this one right down in here. And this one is kind of take number 2 for me, so I've got a few things done. But I decided that, well, let me finish just explaining to you. So there's these are the 2 basic cards that you make, and again, they have this extra piece on the back. Then this is the envelope that you get. Isn't that pretty? That goes with these 2 card fronts. And they're very attractive and very nice. So immediately my brain went to, how can I get more out of this? So if I just use some of my own envelopes, I am very taken with this trim that is on here, and this beautiful blue-green, I don't know what, pattern, polka dotted pattern that looks very vintage on the inside of the envelopes. So let me show you what else I did with that kit. I made this card where I took the piece that comes out of the top of this and I fussy cut it out, and then I used the inside of the envelope, and then I used some of the trims that are on the envelope here to add this detail around the end, and added one of the sentiments here. And there's 2 pages of sentiments that you get with this: sending a note, sending wishes, sending love, sending thoughts, and then in a couple of other languages. Those kits are there. And then you get 8 envelopes that are for the 8 cards that you would make. And then you get these little pieces of trim, and I'll show you on this one. This little gold trim goes right on the post box here. Isn't that cute? And so you get those little gold pieces of trim, and then you get, there's a little package with a handful of these, I think there's 8 of them, little galvanized looking paper clips that you can use on your project. And you get a sticker page, and this is not really a sticker, it's just die cut, and they're like little 5-cent stamps. It's just the cutest set, and I'm really taken with how beautiful this is. So this was the first card that I made using the kit, and I think I've managed to do it in such a way that you don't give up the cards that you would make for the set. And I used a little bit of the Grapefruit Grove foil paper, and I made an additional card. And here's the additional card that I made. using the little postcard here. And again, I fussy cut this piece out. Then I cut off that has this pretty trim on the bottom. And what I did was I made this card, and it opens this way, and then I used some of the inside or the back flap of this, cut that off, trimmed it down, and used it for the inside of another card. Now, so what I have is then, these are the 4 cards that I'm getting out of this kit. And when I use these up, then what do? Well, I made my own little inserts, and I just used some of the Petal Promenade paper because it looked to me like the colors in here were the same as the colors in the Petal Promenade. So I made an insert that could go into this, and I'll walk you through all of this in just a minute. But to make this so that you could have this still be a complete card, and then take this piece off, and it's actually pretty slick. Let me show you how this works. This card here, and this is my little insert here, has 2 pieces of double-sided tape already on here. So all you need to do is pull those strips and glue that piece together. And that is a card all by itself, in my opinion, with, in this case, my own insert. And I used a little postage stamp, and I used a butterfly and a couple of other things. And you could either stamp or just write your happy birthday or thinking of you or whatever you wanted to do with that. And then I cut off this piece in the back and used it on the inside of one of these cards that I made. So, and I used just some paper on some of them, and I used the piece that's on the back for others. So I think you can get 8, I think you can get twice as many cards. So this gives you a kit that gives you 8 cards, and I think I come away with 16 when I'm done. And so let me just show you what we're doing to do this. Like I said, the very first thing you want to do, and this is take 2 for me, so I've got a few things already done. But, well, this is a perfect example. I'll just use this. No, I won't. I'll use this one. And what I'm going to do, this one's already been glued down. So all I really need is my little insert here that I made. Let me grab that back again. To go into here, and then I write my image, write my message right on the inside here. Let me get this pushed down all the way. There we go. And so that by itself is 1 card. So once I did that, I cut off this back panel here, and I just cut up the place here where this is connected, and this piece kind of goes around that pooch out there, and cut that off. And there is card number 1. Just as simple as that, making my own insert for this piece. And I made this insert, let's see, 3 inches by 4 inches, and you could make that 2.75 or 2 3/4, so it would fit in here real easily without having to struggle at all. So that is the first card that I made. Then the second card is the same thing, taking this piece, and I put my little, that's another thing that comes in this kit, is you get a little roll of white baker's twine, and you get your little package of the paper clips here. So all you really need to do to make this part of the card is to use something here, and I think the edge of my scissors will work just, oh, there's my pokey tool. And just release this tape here on both sides. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that my ends are appropriately matched here and push this into place. And there you go, you've got your piece, and you're ready for your insert then to go in here, and there you would have 2 cards. All right, then we're going to take these pieces here from the back, and here's another one. I'm going to just take this piece off of here. And there, that's ready to go to be put together to make yet another card. Now, on these pieces, what I did is I did use my trimmer, and I figured out how close I could get so that I got a straight line with this indentation, and that's where I cut off my card. And I know by using my ruler here that that is indented there about a ½ inch from this inward line here. So if I set this up to be a ½ inch from that inward line there, let me just see. I think that's right. And I trim this down, then what I've got is a perfect piece for the inside of one of my other cards that that we can use. And so let me cut that down there, and then let me cut this one down here as well. So I know that that needs to be right along that blade line there to get that done. And there we go. And then set this so I end up just about there. And now I've got 2 insides. Oops, looks like I didn't take off quite enough there. I can just see it by looking at it that it needed a little bit more. Anyway, there's the inside to 2 more cards. So now what I'm going to do is on one of these cards and this other card, I've already fussy cut this one out so it can go on the front of my card. So I'm going to just go ahead and fussy cut out this piece, and I'm going to bring it up so you can see there is a little white line all the way around here, and then it's grayed out behind it, so it's real easy to cut. It gives you the line. If you just expose the little white rim on here, you will perfectly fussy cut this out. So I'm going to do that, and I'll speed this up, although it won't take but just a second. There we go. And then I did use my trimmer because if you've watched me for a while, you know I'm straight challenged here. So I'm just going to cut off this pretty little decoration on the bottom because I'm sure I'll find some place on the cards to be able to use that piece. All right, so then what I did was I took and let's do the envelope. Now here is one of the envelopes. So I've got my 2 pieces that are fussy cut out to make my card. Let me get rid of some of this extraneous material here. And I'll set that one aside because we don't need it for now. And there's our 2 cards that have already been made. Now on the envelope, what I was interested in doing is capturing as much of this trim along here as I can. Now, on a regular sized card, if I want that trim to go all the way down the side, I need to capture these long pieces here. And then these other pieces can be decoration other places. So I was very interested, and the way I trimmed my piece down was I set this in here, set this envelope in here so that I could just snip off this trim piece. Now, I cut off the whole bottom of the envelope, so I've got an extra little piece on the back here. So basically what I'm going to do is just fussy cut this little piece of trim off down here. So I'll snip that, and then I'm going to cut this piece off here. And if you put it on your trimmer and you capture a little bit of white from the envelope on the other side, you can just use your scissors to trim down that piece. But there we go, we've got a nice long piece of this beautiful trim, and we can use that for one of our cards. Now on this end, we've got the same issue. I want to cut off one of these long pieces here. So I'm setting this on my cutting blade here so that I can slice that off, and then I'm going to set this down here so I can again get this piece off, and there I've got another piece of this wonderful trim. I'm just going to snip off the end here, and then what you're left with is this inside of the envelope, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to snip off this trim. It's so pretty. I think it could be used for lots of things on the insides of some of the cards that you're making here. So there's another piece, and we can trim that out to get that end piece. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Trim that piece off. Now, on the inside of the envelope, here we have this beautiful piece of paper. And there's other things you can do. In fact, on one of them, I trimmed off this piece and this piece and some of these pieces just because I didn't know how much I was going to need. And I ended up with quite a few pieces. You really don't need to do that, but you can if you want to use it for other things. So now I've got this piece of paper, and what I've got are these two corners here, these four corners that have little bits of white on them. Now you can trim those off. You can round the corners and make them go away. There's a lot of things you can do with them. But I really thought that on a card front here, if I just fold and burnish my card front here, and I set my piece of paper down here, it's pretty good sized. So I might be able to trim off, I think what I'm going to do is trim off one side of this so that I trim off the little bit of white that's on here. And there we go. I've got that trimmed off. And I'm going to go ahead and trim off this side too, because I've got these pretty striped pieces I can put down. So now all of my white pieces are gone as well. Now, let's see how this fits on the front of our card. It looks like it could stand to be trimmed off by 1/4 of an inch on the length. So I'm going to cut off 1/4 of an inch here. And now what I'm going to do is use this for my piece on the front, and I'm going to set it down here, and then I'm going to set this trim right alongside it on the top and the side to give me that little bit of pattern. So first of all, I'm going to use my tape runner here and put this piece of paper in place. And what I'm going to do is get the same margin along this one side of the fold and the bottom of the card. And there we go. Now I can put into place these trim pieces here. And isn't that going to make a lovely card front? So I'm just going to quickly put a little tick mark here. Let's see, let me straighten that out so it's right even with the bottom, and I know I'm going to cut off right about there. And so I'm going to use my snips, and I'm just going to trim that piece off. And I'm going to, see, I've got my silicone mat here. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back side of this piece. There we go. And put that into place on my card. And add that trim to the side of my card. And there we've got that piece done. Now I'm going to take another piece of this trim and put it on the top and come all the way across. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Let me square up this end here. And then put that in place so that it comes across here. And I know I need to cut that piece right about there. Put my mark in and snip that little piece off. And then this piece should now fit perfectly on the top of my card here and frame it on the two sides. So the next thing I'm going to do is add just a little bit of glue to the back of this piece and set that in place. And there I've got my piece set in place on the top and the side, and I think that makes for a lovely card. Now here I've got this piece that I fussy cut out, and what I'm going to do is add some dimensionals to the back of this piece and lay that down on my card front. Okay, then I'm decide how I'd like to have this on my card front here, and I think I'm going to add it right in here. Isn't that just gorgeous? Very, very pretty. Now then, I have a fixed number of sentiments. Now I can choose to use those on the insides of the inserts that I make here, or I can use some on the bottom end of this card. And this time I think I'm going to take this sticker off which says Sending Wishes, and I'm going to put that on my grid paper here so I can make sure I get this straight. But I thought right down along here, here we go, Sending Wishes is a nice sentiment. Then on the inside of this card, I've got my choice of this piece or this piece to put on the inside of my card and make it possible to add a sentiment. So I think what I'm going to do is just select this one, and there I've made another card using the same material that's already in the kit. And on this one, because of the way I use the sentiment, there's not even any stamping. So it's a wonderful kit to get, I think, because you have the opportunity to make a lot of different cards with it. And on this one, you could not put this sentiment here and stamp a greeting, any happy birthday, any happy anniversary, any thinking of you, whatever you'd like, to the bottom of this card and just extend your supplies. But isn't that gorgeous? So there we have that card, and I think that on this card I will add just a couple of rhinestones to sort of perk up the bling here. And I'm going to take the largest one and I'm going to set it in the center of my flower here. Then I'm going to take one of the smallest ones and add it to the corners of my sentiment here. Let's see, I think I want them kind of centered there, like that. And add those two there, and maybe one other one, like maybe up in this corner. There we go. And there we've got a lovely card with a decorated inside with absolutely minimal effort. And so there we have our card number 3. Now card number 4, I took another base here and I'm going to change it up a little bit from the card I did in my samples here. The card I did in my samples took a piece of that Grapefruit Grove foil paper and just put it behind this and put some Grapefruit Grove on the outside of this. And I'm going to change that up just a little bit. I have cut a few pieces that I thought we could use, and on this one I'm going to use the inside of an envelope again here to go on the outside of the card, and instead of the Grapefruit Grove paper, because this is using mostly the materials in the kit, which makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to set this one down here on the front of my card and get it centered. There we go. And on this one, what I've done is I took the two pieces of Grapefruit Grove foil paper and I embossed them. And so I have two choices here. I ran this one through the lace embossing folder, which I think is just gorgeous on the front of here. But then I'm going to have to cover it up with my Fussy Cut, my little postcard. And so I decided that maybe this one that had the leaves on it would be very attractive on the front of my card. And see how it changes the look of that? Very simple difference, and yet very, very pretty. So I think this is what I'm going to do. I am going to lay this piece down flat on my card front here. Centered in the center of my card here. And I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to bump it up on dimensionals. And I think because of the extra dimension here, I'm not going to add the ribbon. I am just going to lay this piece down here. And there we have another beautiful card. And then I have my piece that we cut from other card that was here. And it looks a little lopsided to me. I think it needs to be trimmed off. Let's see. I think it's this end that's a little bit off. So I'm going to take just a hair and make that a little bit closer here. And I'm just going to look at the back of that. Isn't that pretty? You could do all kinds of things with the backs of these pieces. So many things you can do. All right, so I'm just going to take this one and I'm going to layer it right here on the inside for my inside decoration. And there you have it. There's a fourth card. Using just two of these. Now let me show you about making the little insert. What I did was I cut some Whisper white paper that was 3 inches or 2.75 by, let's see, is that the right one? see if I cut those the same. Yeah, this one is the 4 inches by 3 inches. And I'm thinking I don't want to take any chance that it might not slide, so I'm going to cut this down by 1/4 of an inch this way. So just so it's 3 3/4, or 2 3/4, 2 3/4 by 4 is what this piece is. Then out of my Petal Promenade paper, I cut 2 pieces like this, and then I cut a couple of different butterflies using the butterfly punch that is new in the catalog. And what I thought I would do is add these pieces to the top of this on one side here, so you wouldn't see the back. So I punched 2 pieces so that we could put a piece back to back here, and then maybe put a butterfly on this side, and there would be your insert. So that's what we'll do. Make a little bit of a tag here to go on the inside of our little mailboxes there. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of both of these pieces, and I just used the Label Me Pretty, or the Label Me Pretty, I think is what it's called, label punch. And I'm going to lay this down so that it exactly matches the other one. And there we go. And on these two, all I'm going to do is put my thumbnail on either side so I get a nice little flat space on the back here. And I'm going to put a little bit of snail on the back of that, and put that little butterfly in place here, and then do the same thing with this one. I'm going to create that little spot where I can put a little bit of snail on the back of it, and lay that down here. Then I'm going to take my rhinestones, and I added 2 little rhinestones to my butterfly body here, just to perk it up a little bit. And there we go. With one kit, and we have those cute little postage stamps. Let's see, where did they go? And we also have these little embellishments we cut off the bottom where we fussy cut those others, and those could easily go on the bottom of this, trimmed down a little bit. Or you could put one of these strips that we've taken off to go onto the bottom or down the side of one of these to put on your insert. And I'm not seeing my little postage stamps, but you have the little postage stamps. I think I put one on the bottom of this one so you can see them again, what it is I'm talking about. Yes, I just put a little bit of snail and put that down here on the bottom. But all of this trim that we've taken off of other places, even the polka dotted trim, would be kind of pretty there. But that, or these stripes here could go in and just make this doll it up quite a bit. In fact, you probably have enough stripes with that envelope paper to put it on all 3 sides. So there you have it. Those are my projects for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. And this year, this time, joining Stampin' Up! Is a particularly good deal because your join fee is still $99, but you get $175 worth of product for your $99 investment. It's an absolutely wonderful time to join Stampin' Up! And your first quarter to make your minimum isn't over until the end of June. So you have quite a long time. So these are the kit cards, and then these are my extras. And so the price for this month is a $50 shopping spree on me. And I'll be back soon with more cards and more projects. Bye.